soft rumbling of engines, a wind blowing through an empty airfield. War reshapes the earth. It draws new borders, destroys old worlds, and forces ordinary people into extraordinary moments. But in World War II, something happened. The sky itself became a battlefield. For the first time in human history, the outcome of a global war depended not only on armies or navies, but on aircraft, pilots, and the battle for control of the air. Today, we're going to explore the major aerial battles of World War II, the dogfights, the bombing raids, the turning points, and the stories of bravery that unfolded thousands of feet above the ground. This is not a story about machines alone. This is a story about the men and women who climbed into fragile metal planes, knowing they might never return. Welcome to Major Aerial Battles of World War II. Chapter 1. The World Takes Flight. Before we dive into the major battles, we need to understand the world at the time. In the 1930 seconds, aviation was still young. Just a few decades earlier, humans had barely learned how to fly. But by the time World War II began, nations understood the power of the airplane. Planes could see the enemy from above, strike before armies arrived, and change the outcome of battles in minutes. Germany had the Luftwaffe. Britain had the Royal Air Force. Japan its elite naval aviators. The United States built the massive Army Air Forces. The Soviet Union produced huge numbers of fighters and bombers. Everyone understood one truth: whoever controlled the sky would eventually control the war. And so began some of the most dramatic, intense, and deadly aerial battles in human history. Chapter 2. The Battle of Britain, 1940. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Winston Churchill. Let's begin with the battle that changed everything. Imagine this. It's the summer of 1940. France has fallen. Europe is collapsing under Nazi control. Only one nation stands between Hitler and total domination: the United Kingdom. Germany plans Operation Sea Lion, a full ion of Britain. But first, they must destroy the Royal Air Force. The sky becomes the front line. The opponents? Germany. Hundreds of fighters and bombers. Bf 109 seconds. Heinkel bombers. Stukas. Britain. Outnumbered, but flying Hurricanes and Spitfires, fast, elegant, and deadly. The stakes: if the RAF falls, Britain falls. And if Britain falls, the world changes forever. The battle begins. German bombers roar over the English Channel. British radar stations, new technology for the time, detect them. Pilots scramble into the air. The sky fills with black smoke, tracer bullets, and the roar of engines. The Spitfire versus the Messerschmitt Bf 109 becomes one of the most iconic duels in aviation history. Pilots describe the dogfights like dancing with death, circling, climbing, diving, firing at planes moving faster than anything they had ever seen. The turning point. Germany switches to bombing cities, the Blitz. But this gives the RAF time to recover. More pilots join. More aircraft roll out of factories. Slowly, the Luftwaffe loses strength. The result: Britons survivent. Germany abandons its invasion plans. The world breathes again. The Battle of Britain is the first major defeat for Nazi Germany, and the first battle fought entirely in the air. Its air power can stop an invasion, and the courage, skill, and strategy in the sky can change history. Chapter 3. The Attack on Pearl Harbor, 1941. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Now we turn to the Pacific, where another kind of air war begins. Early morning at Pearl Harbor. It's a peaceful Sunday morning in Hawaii. American sailors are asleep. Churches are opening, and the sun rises over the harbor. Suddenly, Japanese aircraft appear, hundreds of them. Dive members, planes, fighters. Japan launches a surprise attack unlike anything the world has ever seen. Why Pearl Harbor matters. Japan wants to destroy the American Pacific Fleet so it can conquer territories across Asia without interference. The attack lasts barely 2 hours, but it changes the entire course of the war. Battleships explode. Aircraft burn on runways. Smoke covers the sky. The attack is devastating, but it also awakens a giant. Aftermath. The United States declares war on Japan. Germany and Italy respond by declaring war on the United States. World War II becomes truly global, and air power becomes the weapon that will dominate the Pacific. Chapter 4. The Battle of Midway, 1942. A turning point in the Pacific War. 6 months after Pearl Harbor, the Japanese Navy is still winning. Its aircraft carriers seem unstoppable. But at Midway, everything changes. The setup: Japan plans to lure the U.S. Navy into a trap near a tiny island called Midway. Their goal is to destroy the remaining American carriers. But what Japan doesn't know is this: American codebreakers have cracked their communication codes. The U.S. knows the attack is coming. The battle begins. On June 4th, 1,942 U.S. aircraft take off from carriers' slow, vulnerable torpedo bombers and faster dive bombers. Japanese carriers launch their own attack on Midway Island. The sky becomes chaos: explosions, smoke, fire, and anti-aircraft shells bursting everywhere. The moment that changes everything. American torpedo bombers attack first, and they are nearly all shot down. But in this moment of chaos, Japan's carriers are left vulnerable. Then they come, the American dive bombers. From high above the clouds, they angle their planes downward and fall like arrows. In just 5 minutes, 3 Japanese carriers, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu, are turned into burning wrecks. A 4th carrier, Hiryu, follows slaughter. The result: Japan loses 4 aircraft carriers and many of its best pilots. The United States loses 1 carrier, the Yorktown. This battle marks the end of Japanese expansion and the beginning of a long, difficult American advance across the Pacific. Midway is not just a victory, it is a miracle of timing, bravery, and fate. Chapter 5. The Eastern Front and the Battle of Kursk, 1943. The largest armored clash in history, and a massive air battle above it. While the Pacific and Europe are burning, something enormous is happening in the East. Germany invades the Soviet Union in 1941, and by 1943, both sides have suffered millions of casualties. At Kursk, Germany tries one last massive offensive to break the Red Army. A sky full of machines. The battle on the ground is huge, but above it, the sky fills with thousands of aircraft. German Stukas dive bomb tanks. Soviet fighters Yak-9 seconds and La-5 seconds defend in massive numbers. Bombers strike rail lines, supply routes, and trenches. At one point, over 2,000 aircraft fight at the same time. The turning point: Soviet air forces improve rapidly. Better training, better coordination, more planes. Germany begins the war with elite pilots. By 1943, many of those aces are gone. The Luftwaffe is stretched thin across Europe and Africa. Fuel shortages grow. Replacement pilots are younger and less trained. The Soviets grind them down. Outcome: the Battle of Kursk becomes a decisive Soviet victory. German air superiority is gone forever on the Eastern Front. From this moment on, the Soviets begin pushing Germany back, mile by mile, town by town. The skies over Russia now belong to the Red Army. Chapter 6. The Strategic Bombing Campaign, 1942. 1945. Firestorms, courage, destruction. And the question: how far should air war go? While battles rage in the Pacific and Russia, another war is happening in the skies over Germany. Britain and the United States launch massive bombing campaigns to destroy German factories, oil supplies, and military production. The British night raids. Britain prefers night bombing, safer, but less accurate. Cities like Hamburg, Dresden, and Cologne become targets. Firestorms sweep through neighborhoods. Tens of thousands die. The American daylight raids. The United States insists on precision daylight bombing, believing it will hit military targets more accurately. But daylight bombing is deadly. German fighters attack formations. Anti-aircraft guns called flak fill the sky with black explosions. The B-17 and B-24 bombers fly in tight groups for protection, escorted by long-range fighters like the P-51 Mustang. Heroes in the sky. Imagine flying at 25,000 feet. The air is freezing. You are trapped inside a metal tube that could be shot down at any moment. Gunners fire machine guns from tiny windows. Pilots struggle to keep damaged planes in the air. Bombardiers aim through the Norden bombsight, trying to hit a target miles below. Many don't make it home. But day by day, mission by mission, the Allies break Germany's industrial power. By 1945, the German war machine collapses. Chapter 7. The Marianas Turkey Shoot and the Battle of the Philippine Sea, 1944. The day Japanese naval aviation died, back in the Pacific, the U.S. is advancing toward Japan. The next step, capture the Marianas Islands. Japan sends its remaining carriers to stop them. The battle. American radar detects incoming Japanese aircraft. U.S. fighters, mostly F-6F Hellcats, take off to intercept. What follows is one of the most one-sided air battles in history. Japanese pilots, poorly trained and flying outdated aircraft, attack in waves. American fighters shoot them down by the hundreds. The Hellcats dominate the sky so completely that pilots nickname the battle the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. The outcome: Japan loses nearly all of its carrier aircraft. The Japanese Navy will never again challenge the United States in major air combat. This battle clears the path for the invasion of the Philippines, and eventually for attacks on Japan itself. Chapter 8. The Final Air Campaign over Japan, 1944–1945. From firestorms to a new technological era, as American forces move closer to Japan, new long-range aircraft appear, most notably the B-29 Superfortress. These planes carry heavier loads, fly higher, and can reach the Japanese homeland. Firebombing of Tokyo. On the night of March 9–10, 1945, hundreds of B-29 seconds appear over Tokyo. They release large numbers of incendiary devices that spark massive fires. Traditional wooden homes ignite quickly. A widespread blaze sweeps through the city. It becomes one of the most devastating nights of the entire conflict. The New Era devices. In August 1945, the United States releases two extremely powerful New Era devices over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These remain among the most powerful tools ever used in human conflict. Shortly afterward, the fighting comes to an end. A new age of technology and global responsibility begins. The world is changed permanently. Chapter 9. The Human Side of Aerial Conflict. Behind every mission, there is a face, a name, a story. Let's step away from strategy for a moment. Aerial missions were carried out by teenagers, young adults, and volunteers from across many nations. Some were farm boys who had never left home. Some were university students. Some were mechanics, athletes, or clerks. They climbed into aircraft knowing the risks. Fear. Every mission could be unpredictable. Every engine issue, every bullet hole, every cloud hiding an unseen opponent danger was everywhere. Courage. Many saved their crews. Some crash-landed in the sea or found themselves behind unfamiliar lines. Others parachuted into unknown territory. Brotherhood. Pilots relied on their wingmen with complete trust. Bomber crews lived together, trained together, and often faced the same fate together. Loss. Every aerial operation came with a price. Families waited for letters that sometimes never arrived. Friends went into the sky and did not return. World War II's aerial missions were not just moments of strategy. They were deeply human stories full of bravery, uncertainty, fear, and hope. Chapter 10. How Aerial Battles Changed the World. World War II proved that the sky had become the most decisive battlefield. Here's what changed. 1. Air superiority became essential. No major mission or ground operation could succeed without controlling the skies. 2. Radar, jets, and rockets emerged. Technology advanced rapidly. By the end of the conflict, the first jet aircraft appeared. 3. Aircraft carriers became dominant. Navies now depended more on carriers than on traditional battleships. 4. Long-range air campaigns reshaped strategy. Ground forces were no longer the only factor. Industry, transportation routes and production centers became strategic priorities. 5. A new era of global competition began. Jet aircraft, long-range aviation, and powerful new technologies shaped international relations for decades, closing the legacy of the Sky Warriors. Narrator. The pilots of World War II are now part of history. Most have passed on. Their planes rest in museums silent, still reminders of another time. But once, those machines filled the sky with sound and motion. Once, those pilots faced tremendous risks in missions that shaped the modern world. When we look back at the major aerial operations of World War II, the Battle of Britain, Midway, Kursk, the long-range campaigns, and the final air missions over Japan, we see more than aircraft and strategy. We see courage. We see innovation. We see the human spirit rising to impossible challenges. And above all, we see a reminder of the costs of global conflict and the value of peace. Thank you for joining this journey through the skies of World War II. If you enjoyed this story and want more historical documentaries, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, keep looking up.